Right, hi everyone. We are going to have a go at doing a walking, talking mock online. So I've chosen the paper 2, the biological section only, for the paper May 2016. Okay, so we're going to have a go at some of the exam questions, and I will talk through what is required for each question, and you can pause after each question and then obviously write down or type up your answers before you go on to the next question. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to the first question. Okay, so the first question there for 3 marks. Identify the 3 lobes highlighted on the diagram of the brain below. So it's a simple 3-mark question asking you to name the parts of the brain. Okay, so you may need to obviously look back at some of your notes to help you to remember some of the parts of the brain there. Okay. Part B is again 4-mark question here. Brain scanning can be used to investigate the brain. Explain 2 weaknesses of the fMRI scanning technique. So this question is 4 marks. So there's 1 mark for identifying the weakness and then 1 mark for justifying. So we've got an AO1 and an AO3. These kind of questions people tend to lose marks on for not justifying and explaining why it is a weakness. So for 4 marks, you must identify 2 weaknesses of an MRI scan and also explain why those are weaknesses, okay, for 4 marks. And the next question. So the next question, we have some data that is given to us, and we've also got a table of data presented. So Joel was interested in the relationship between environmental temperature and aggression. He noted down the average temperature for his school year and recorded the number of aggressive incidents that took place. So you can see we've got the months, we've got the average temperature in degrees, and the number of aggressive incidents. Okay, so the question is state a null hypothesis for this study for 2 marks. So the null hypothesis, remember, is always the opposite of the experimental hypothesis, which always says that there will be no significant difference. So for this question, for the 2 marks, you must use all of the information that is given to you in the question. Okay, that is the secret really. So make sure that you have stated a clear null hypothesis, which includes all the information from the question, including the variables. Okay. And following on from that, it is asking you for part B to draw a suitable graph to display the data in table 1. Now, if you have a look at the data, if we scroll back and have a look at the data, we've obviously got 2 sets of data. So we've got the temperature and the number of aggressive incidents. So we are required here to draw a scatter graph. Okay, so a scatter graph is obviously a graph which can show a correlation. Now the question here is for 3 marks. So 3 marks will be firstly a correct title, secondly labeling both the x and the y axes correctly, and thirdly for actually plotting the points on the graph correctly. So 3 marks there for drawing a suitable graph. Part C is asking you to state the type of relationship shown in the graph that you have drawn for 1 mark. So all you are doing here is you are saying what is the graph showing, what kind of relationship, what kind of correlation is there, and you must use the names of the variables in your answer here to get your full mark. We are going to skip this one as we haven't done any stats yet. Okay, part E is explain one strength and one weakness of using correlational research method as it is used in biological psychology to inform our understanding of aggression, for 4 marks. Okay, so here we've got 4 marks. It's asking you for a strength and a weakness of using correlations. Okay, so it's asking you what's good about using correlations as a method and also what is not so good about using them. So there's 2 AO1 and there's 2 AO3. So same again, you need to describe and state what the strength is and why, so justify why it is a strength. Okay, and then same again for the weakness. So here they're giving you quite a lot of space to write, so make sure you utilize all of the space there. Okay. Question 3, which is the last one here in the biological section, is assess how far evolution and natural selection can be used to explain aggression. So this is obviously your extended response answer for 8 marks. So we must remember when we are planning for an 8-mark question, we normally have 4 AO1 descriptive points and then 4 AO3 descriptive points. So what is the question asking? So it's asking you to discuss, assess the evidence to show that evolution and natural selection are causes for aggression. Okay, so that word assess is asking you to argue, is evolution and natural selection the only reasons to explain aggression, or are there other explanations too? So when we divide it up into 4 AO1 descriptive, the kind of things you should be writing here is firstly explaining what evolution is. Okay, so describing what evolution is, any genetic links that you can make to aggression. You can also talk about survival of the fittest and how our behavior has evolved to become more aggressive. For example, animals protecting their offspring show aggression. So that's what you'd write about in description. AO3 evaluation, you would be talking about any research, any theories, any studies which have supported, the argument that evolution and natural selection can be used to explain aggression. So you may need to look back at some of your notes. In particular, page 104 and 105 in your AS Psychology textbook will help you with this question. Okay, so have a read of the descriptions and the evaluations on both those pages, and they should give you some indications of what you can write. Okay, also AO3, you could include the fact that there are alternative theories of aggression. So the question really you're trying to answer, is evolution and natural selection the only explanation for aggression? Okay, we know that it is not the only explanation. So this is something that you must portray and put across in your answer. Because it's an 8-mark question, you must obviously demonstrate accurate and thorough knowledge throughout your answer. You must demonstrate awareness of competing arguments, which leads to almost a balanced judgment. Okay, in a psychology essay, we're not looking at your opinion, we are looking at your ability to be able to balance an argument by using research, studies and theories and evidence to support everything that you write. Okay, so we're going to stop there. So what I want you to do is to type up or obviously handwrite your answers, label your questions clearly and have a go at all of those questions for the biological approach, and email them to me, please. Thanks.